Good morning. Sorry for being a few minutes late. Just realised the time I was eating my lunch. But anyway, I'm going to go over today's levels, which are largely similar to yesterday's levels, and there's a few little areas I want to discuss as well. So let's crack on. So economic news. Today we've got quite a bit of news coming in. Nothing which is of high importance. So medium, 2 out of 3. So coming up at 10 AM. We've got some news coming up at 1:30 and aftermarket as well. So just keep an eye around 10 o'clock and maybe around 1:30 as well today, just in case you're in a trade. So on my screen at the moment is the MES 1 hour time frame. This is the micro E-mini S&P futures. And what we're looking at right now, if not my pen, is I'm currently seeing a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern, but it's a bit lopsided. But I'm just going to recap yesterday. Let's go into the weekly first. So the weekly, we've put in a lower low and then a higher low, a lower high, and then whatever we're going to have, we don't know what's going to happen next. So potentially we could see a bit of a pullback. So let's look at the fibs for a second to see where we are. So 50%. If we do get a pullback, then potentially we could come up to around about this area, maybe the 618, and to confirm this weekly downtrend. We need to see a bit of a pullback on that day to confirm the downtrend. Looking at the daily, you can see on the daily as well, we're putting in this bit of a bear flag as well, and we potentially have got a bit more movement back down. So this is an area I'm keeping an eye on, which is around 4,300 on the spot, and we've got this rising 200 moving average as well. So potentially 4,300 is an area to watch out for. And if I zoom out on the daily a bit more, you can see it's an area of confluence as well, where we've got the tops of these candles, and then it broke down, retested it there, so that's the bottoms of candles, and potentially could be bottoms of candles here. And more interestingly is we have this big congested area of volume, and this red line is the point of control coming up to around this area, but the volume on here is actually this entire area. So potentially we could see a bit of support around here, and good area for a bounce, maybe a swing trade bounce possibly. Okay, so let's go into the hourly. So on the hourly, so yesterday you can see I just connected the dots up on this trend line, and in the pre-market, which is around about here, we're talking about it, and we're potentially looking for a rejection off of that upper trend line, and maybe just continue it down. And as you can see, it retested the bottom of the trend line almost right on the dot as well, and it broke up, came back down, retested the upper trend line, pulled down, and it's been trailing this trend line since. So in fact, let's just clone this trend line. So in trading view, to clone, just hold down the control button and just let the line and just drag. Let's just see where we are. And look at that trend line there, touched there. So technically we're still playing within this trend line. We may be able to just extend it a bit. We could be looking for something like that instead. But I'll keep that up anyway for reference tomorrow, see where we are. So potentially we could hit this double bottom, and if we're looking at this double bottom, I might be interested in going for a bounce play. Also, we've got the tops of this pre-market as well, so I'll be watching for a high risk rejection to back down, or a break and retest. So that's the area I'm watching, and potentially if we can get below that pre-market low, I think a potential bounce or a break and retest short. So that's kind of the areas I'm watching, and let's just find out what 43.31 is. I'll read out the levels in a second. Just remind myself where these levels come from. We're going back a few months now. go into the 4 hour. Okay, so 43.31, that's coming from, okay, look at that, it's a nice 43, you know, this area here. So this is the tops of these candles here. So potential, but we have got hardly any volume in this area as well based on this profile tool. But we have a potential bounce here at 43.31, and because it's low volume, it might be a higher risk bounce. So I think if we do break down, potentially we are looking for this demand zone, which you can see the volume. I'll zoom out a bit more. You can see we've got quite high volume, look at that. So this volume starts increasing in this area. So this entire area is of, let's use a straight line instead. So this entire area along here and along here has potential for higher volumes. That's below 4300, so we could see that as a potential bounce area. Okay, so let's just take a look at some levels for today. It's back to the hourly. Okay, so the plays we just discussed, so I'm looking for a, let's put a pre-market low, and look at that, it coincides with this area as well. So I'm looking for a pre-market low bounce, and that's at 43.44, or if you see further weakness, a break and retest short. So 43.45 effectively, that area there, and it happens to be the bottom of yesterday as well, so potentially a double bottom. If we see further weakness, we've got this higher risk, even though it's further away, higher risk bounce at 43.31, and that's only because the volume drops right out in that area. So potentially we could be looking for the next level down, which will be the demand zone. And then looking if we see some buy-in today. Back up here, which will be 43.79, 43.78.75. That's a potential rejection and back down. And obviously if we see strong buy-in and a break and retest. So this is an area of interest as well, 4400. It is a daily level, that's why I've got the solid yellow line. It's a demand zone, a supply zone as well. And we've got slightly higher volume in this area as well. And so potentially looking for a reject off of 4400. And I think that's it really, they're the levels. Not very, I'm basically really watching this level, the pre-market. Either a bounce or a break and retest short, and possibly the same for this level here, 43.62, either a break through the high and retest or a rejection, and that'd be a higher risk rejection as well. Just confirm the trend for the MES and the ES. We're still in an hourly downtrend, which we can see because we put in higher low, lower high, I meant lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower high, and we did break it here, and then but we're back down. So I think the key area is if we break down below 43.44, that's the area. If we can hold this area, we could be looking at a double bottom and potentially this inverse head and shoulders pattern. So I'll just draw in the shoulder, the head and the right shoulder, but we need to get back up to 43. We need to make the neckline here at 43.78 area, and then if we break through that area, potentially look for a break and retest long. I think that's it for MES. Let's just go back into the daily for a second. Yeah, it does look like a bit of a bear flag setting up. If we can get back up to this 4400, I think it might be worth a break and retest, maybe a swing trade with a very tight stop just above that area, and then possibly targeting this demand zone 4300, so we could get 100 points on that move. And then looking at the hourly, yeah, I think there's no more plays. That's what I'm really watching for. So moving on to SPY next. So back in the daily, you can see we've broken that neckline, we've retested it as well. So this is the retest of that neckline which we talked about, and we're currently about to break down through the low of yesterday. Let's look at the hourly. Oh, it's interesting. It's something of interest as well. So look at the volume. So we've had these ultra high volume spikes on the last 3 days. Yesterday we didn't get any ultra high volume spike. And what could that mean? Also we've got this head and shoulders pattern potentially forming as well. What could it mean? Potentially it could show weakness on this pullback, because we probably just had profit taken here. People who's been in this short for the last week, seeing a potential head and shoulders maybe setting up and just taking profit. I'd imagine if we saw buyers coming in as well, we probably would have seen bigger volume here as well. So potentially we've just got profit taken there. You can see it's quite a bullish candle that was on the, what time was that? That was at 4 o'clock on the close. So that's potentially profit taken, and it was no follow through as well, and it just rejected after in the post market. So yeah, I think that was just profit taken and relatively low volume when you compare the last few days. If you compare the 3 o'clock candle, that looked pretty bearish. Big look at that, two topping tails on big volume. Same here, look at that, topping tail or shooting star on big volume. And what have we got here? Well, that's, can't get any more bearish than this candle. Big bearish candle on big volume. So I think we're still looking a little bit bearish at the moment. Like I said, on the ES, if we can break down through yesterday's low and then maybe come back up and then retest that area, we could be looking for a nice short down. So let's put some levels in for SPY. Look at that, the volumes. This is a custom indicator I wrote for Trading View. The white bars shows me ultra high volume, and it compares the previous bars for the volume, and it doesn't think that's an ultra high volume bar, but when you look at the previous bars you can see why. And that's why it quickly stands out when I'm looking at trades, and you can see not much volume is going on here. We're having a few like slow moving days, inside days, sideways days. Okay, so levels really are same as we previously talked about, looking at 432.86 as a potential rejection area around here, and if we can come back up, reject again, same as ES. If we can break down through the low, the pre-market low, and retest it potentially for a rejection, or we could be watching for a bounce. And that's it. They're the only real levels really. Anything else I'll discuss in real time in the trading, in our trade room. We've got this area 444 as well as potential rejection area if we see a lot of buying, and we've got a gap to fill as well. So potentially around here we could come back up and get down to the and fill the gap to these lows from, what's that, 19th of September. So that's it. Very easy. I'm only watching a couple levels. That level there, potentially that level there, and that's based on this supply zone and that area rejection. But if I see it in here, I normally take the trade using MES or ES because that's what I prefer to trade. Let's look at Qs. Where we were Qs. Similar really. We've got this inverse head and shoulders pattern on reducing volume as well. So it's shown, that shows pretty much showing weakness in this pattern. So it's not a head and shoulders pattern until we can complete the neckline, and it looks like it looks pretty bearish at the moment, but we won't know until the market opens what's got in store. 355.93 is a low, and it's an area of demand as well. So potentially we could look for a bounce, but if we're seeing particularly big selling, then a break and retest short. I said low volume yesterday, and you can show it's a bit of a slow moving day as well. So that's really what I'm watching for. Same as same as ES as well. If we can get back up to this area, potential rejection, that's a high risk rejection, and you could even play that area. 362 and 360 are areas of rejection. 355.93, let's say 356 as an area to go long on a bounce. Nasdaq is all looking pretty similar, and you can see this bear flag setting up. So we've got this the flagpole, and we're setting up here. So we could join them together. We could see a little bit of selling and either break down, or it could break back up again. So again, watching this double bottom, that's interesting. We haven't actually broken, well, we just about broke the lows from August. So it's looking a little bit more stronger than the ES. But if we can get back down, if we can get down through that area and hold below that area, we could see another leg down. So let's go on the daily quickly. Get rid of these. So on the daily, we've got this pan setting up here, come down, retest, and we potentially could break down. If we were to break it, next target could be there, but this is a better area here, but it's a long way down. So if we are to look at this area, we're probably looking around 14,500 as a potential target. That's based on that pivot over here. That's going back to August. What else are we looking at? And if we bounce at this point, we've got this area as well. There we go, 15,000 exactly. So they're the areas. We're below 15,000, so we could be looking for a potential reject off of 15,000. So this is a daily. So let's go back into the hourly again. So 15,000, let's draw some actual lines in. 15,000 potential rejection area, and we've got area of confluence around here. That's basically where the bottoms and tops of candles meet, and also I've got the bottoms of candles over here. Just a rough area, 14,870. Where are we now? We're below that area, so we could see a potential reject off of that area and off of that 50. But I still quite like the break and retest low on Nasdaq. So that's all I'm watching for. Very lastly, oil. So we put in this top a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, and let's look at the weekly first, or the monthly. We're definitely in a monthly uptrend. We're still in a weekly uptrend. You can see we need to break that area there to confirm it. We haven't broken it yet, so let's go down to the daily. So you've got to treat it as still in an uptrend, and the daily potentially it's broken, it hasn't held below that area. So this is the area, this is a key area here, $88 exactly. If we can break below and close below it, we could be looking for another leg down. We could be seeing a change of trend. We've got the high here, we've got the lower high there as well, so potentially we are seeing the beginnings of a change of trend. I'm not going to trade it really unless I see something extraordinary A+ up in the 5 or 15 minute, until we get down to at least this area here, and I'm watching for basically a bounce off of this top. So this is kind of the area I'm watching for around here, but you know, I'll keep an eye on it, and I might potentially get a bounce at 84, that area as well. So I've got some alerts in place, and that's it really. I think that's pretty much it. if again, we'll put some levels in there, if we were to see a double top at 92.18 on oil, then it could be worth a potential rejection. Looking for a confirmation candle, a bit like that. That's a perfect candle. You can't get any more perfect than that. That's the candle we're waiting for. If we see another one of those with a stop just above that, then we could see a nice short trade, a nice short swing trade back down. It's putting in a bottom tail at the moment, so it could potentially be looking to make this double top. And apart from that, we have this little area here. You can see there's a little bit of volume, not much volume in that area. So potentially that area where it's consolidating for a week and broke out, maybe we could watch for a retest of that area if you don't consider that a retest already. But a bit weak for me. I wanted to get back down to where we've got all this volume, and that's where this point of control line is. So 80.14 to 84.84. This is the area I'm watching for potential bounce back up. Okay, very lastly, we're back to MES and just have the levels before I stop the video. 7 minutes before the market opens, and we just want to see where we are. So since we've been talking, it's been selling off further, so it's broken down a little bit. So we are getting close to the low today. So what I'm watching for on the open will be the break and retest of this level, or a potential high risk bounce. But I'll play by ear, and I'll only go with confirmation, looking for that type of candle and then taking it on the break of that candle and a change of colour. I don't think I really want to take it based on the level, because pre-market is lower, even though there's higher volume there, but it's low volume compared to the rest of the day. I think that's it, yeah. And potentially a rejection for that area. We might be just doing that because we've got some news coming out tomorrow. Let's just quickly look at news tomorrow. High importance, durable goods 8:30, and we've got GDP growth rate on Thursday, and Friday we've got a few PCE, price index, and personal income. Nothing like FMOC, which will affect trading, but still news to be aware of. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, especially if this video helps you as well. And I will recap my trading today, and I will be back on here live tomorrow at 9 AM Eastern time or 2 PM here in the UK. Okay, thank you for watching.